Hi everyone, it's Sabine VdL, and today I will be talking to Allison Schneider from Vouch, very well-known US startup, probably grown up actually. They've raised over $70 million with very well-renowned investors. Allison today will talk about the business model and help us understand how Vouch help founders like you.
So much for inviting me. I hope I can live up.
No doubt. It's a lot of fun.
You're very kind.
So, I guess we need to start talking about Vouch, right? Yeah. And so the reason why we're here today is because I reached out to you, Ally, over LinkedIn, because I wanted you to help me with one of my ventures. And you were so kind to say, absolutely, Sabine, let's have a chat. And so here we are today. You are working for one of the leading insurtech ventures around the globe. Receive an amazing amount of money, I think 70 million to 90 million. I can't remember what is the right number. And you have some of the most amazing investors like Silicon Valley Bank. You know, we worked very closely with the Silicon Valley Bank when doing Startup Bootcamp program, Y Combinator, which I admire and a lot of us admire. So, Ally, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. And that was a very exciting intro. It got me excited to be at this company all over again. So I appreciate it.
But one thing is I would love for you to tell the audience who you are. There are two things we have in common, actually, Ally. The first one is the Venture Lab. And the second one is AI for your work, IBM Watson. So can you tell us a bit more about you?
Of course. So I am actually fairly new to the insurtech world. I joined Vouch in January, but really my background is in corporate and startup collaboration. So I think very grateful to have had some pretty incredible opportunities. I started my career at IBM Watson, where I was a part of the startup partnership program. So I was supporting startups that were building off of IBM's AI and machine learning APIs through a program where we would offer the technology, the support, the resources. And it was really through that job that I fell in love with AI machine learning technology in general and kind of the possibilities and use cases associated with how you can leverage those technologies. But also that was really where I got introduced to the startup world and ecosystem and, you know, the energy that you get spending your days surrounded by the most amazing entrepreneurs and founders and talking through, you know, the most interesting problems that they're solving. That doesn't get old. And it was funny because after IBM, I actually decided to join when you're spending so much time with amazing founders, you know, eventually you get that itch to go to a startup yourself. I spent some time at a venture-backed startup called X.AI in New York, building out their sales and business development practice. So working with corporates on the other side of the table, trying to, you know, build up an enterprise sales practice and partner with larger enterprises. And then went back to the corporate side. I really, I think people ask me, like, are you a startup or a corporate person? And I actually really enjoy both environments as long as I can collaborate with the other. So in my most recent role before Vouch, I was at E-Trade Ventures and Labs, actually leading our startup mission there. So focusing on engaging with different fintech and enterprise tech startups for different pilots and POCs. And I think, you know, as an individual, I'm really passionate about kind of bridging the gap that exists between those two entities, because that collaboration is really hard, but it's also incredibly necessary. So was lucky enough to end up at Vouch after that.
And that is an amazing, parcours, I would say. So, you know, from IBM and getting that corporate background and grounding, moving to the venture world and working with E-Trade as well. And now working for one of the leading insurtech out there. So it's an amazing, as I said, parcours. But also, it's also giving us an idea that talent do have, plays around different boxes. So you can't just think that somebody in insurance should be in insurtech. And we need talent from very varied areas of knowledge. So tell us, Who is Vouch? Tell us.
It's a great question. So at Vouch, we really focus on business insurance for startups, right? So our mission at the end of the day is to craft the best insurance product for, founders that are building the future. We want to be the de facto, insurance solution for those innovative businesses. And so today, our sweet spot, we really serve seed and Series A technology companies. And our goal, right, is to be able to grow and scale with those businesses as they, evolve, as they scale, and they have different needs. And we want to serve them from a product and services perspective, but really kind of offer that curated expertise because we know and understand startups very intimately and what their needs are at different milestones. So from a long-term perspective, right, we want to build out those insurance products and services that really support startups from seed to IPO. Today, we really support companies across the board from an industry perspective, right, across enterprise tech, fintech, consumer, hardware, digital health, but very much plan to expand into other exciting industries like life sciences down the line. And obviously think about international expansion as well. Today, we're admitted in 22 states in the US, which covers about 95% of the venture-backed startup market. But we're just getting started. We're super excited for all that's to come. There's a lot of work that's been done, but there's a lot of work to do as well.
I'm sure a lot of our ventures. So let me give you some numbers. There are around 5, and I'm just going to talk about InsurTech because I tend to use numbers. So we have 5,000 InsurTechs out there, and 55% are still in the North America. I think actually it went down to 45% are in the North Americas, and we have around 30% now in Europe, with 14% in the UK. So a nice sizable market for you to come to Europe. And this is small, right? Just InsurTech. So just if you look at fintech, fintech represents 70,000. It's pretty much 30 between North America, Europe, and the Asia market. So again, when you look at you moving and helping us in Europe, great market for you to tackle. So, but I was just thinking about what you were saying about Vouch. So what are you doing differently for the ventures which are out there?
Yeah, it's a great question. I kind of boil it down to, I think, 3 things. So the first is the product itself and the experience, right? I think that from a business insurance perspective, right, when we think about what the process has traditionally been, right, it's very, very manual, right, in terms of the paper processes, the time that it ultimately takes. And we've really been able to build a digital first experience for founders to be able to obtain business insurance. So founders, finance teams can apply on our website in 7 to 10 minutes, go through our kind of questionnaire, answer specific questions about their types of their specific business, right? Get a customized quote in terms of, what coverages we recommend, what limits we recommend. Founders can go through, they can adjust, they can toggle those limits or coverages on and off, can check out on our website, pay monthly or annually, and their coverage will go live at midnight. So truly condensing the timing in terms of getting those coverages in place, but really making it a very easy self-serve experience for those founders that want it to be self-serve. I think the other thing we think about, right, is there are a lot of folks that want it to be more of that kind of human and relationship-driven experience. We actually find it ends up being about a 50-50 breakdown. And so our insurance advisors, what's unique about them is they are focused solely on working with venture-backed startups. So they understand the ins and outs of these businesses. They understand that the needs of a SaaS business selling into financial services institutions are going to be very different from the needs of an e-commerce direct-to-consumer company. And so they can really give that curated advice and expertise and obviously guide them through that process of getting that customized quote. The other thing I'll say about the product itself is it's very unique in terms of how we classify risk. Mm-hmm. So when you think about kind of legacy risk classification systems, they tend to be very, very broad and vague. And so we actually break it down. We have 70 different niche codes to get really granular and customized about what are the coverage needs of those different types of companies, right? So we have codes for, connected home devices to, right, B2B SaaS, AI, machine learning. And that is essentially what goes into our underwriting algorithm, to be able to say, these are the coverages that make the most sense for your business in terms of where you are today. And oh, by the way, here are the coverages that, you know, we want to work with you to understand as you grow and scale that might make sense in the future.
Yeah, so you're top of your category, right? You have a Series B funding. And so therefore, what makes Vouch different from the other? And I assume that is also a balance with why was Vouch created in the first place. Can you answer those two questions for us?
Yeah, of course. So I'll start with why was Vouch created in the first place. Honestly, both of our founders had really personal experiences that inspired them to start the company. So Sam, our CEO, he's, you know, a serial entrepreneur, and, you know, he most recently took the U.S. arm of Funding Circle public. And so he's been in the role, the seat of the buyer, right? Experiencing what startup founders need at different points of the journey, what the process of buying and obtaining and renewing business insurance has traditionally looked like for founders. And then Travis, our head of BD and other co-founder, you know, his parents owned a small business, and they actually had a cyber event occur. And so he saw firsthand how traumatizing that was, right? And wanted to think through the right ways to build the right tools, the right products and services to really support entrepreneurs, to help them, you know, avoid and mitigate and transfer risk. And so when we think about why Vouch exists in the first place, it says personal experiences, but at the same time, right, there's kind of this tech stack that's emerging for founders, right? Who are the right partners to go to as you're kind of building the foundation of your business? I think a lot of people immediately think of, okay, I have banking needs, I'm going to go to SVB or, you know, First Republic. I have cap table needs, I'm going to go to Carta, I'm going to go to Stripe for payments, Gusta for payroll, right? You're kind of seeing these emerging leaders in their categories, and yet there hadn't really been a de facto solution for business insurance for startup founders that was geared specifically towards founders. And the reality is, business insurance, when it matters, unfortunately, it really matters. And it's an area where it's very high importance, but low awareness. And so we saw the opportunity to build really innovative products and services that are really geared towards these types of companies, and B, help kind of fill that education gap too, in terms of why business insurance is important. What is it? How do you understand these different coverages, and, you know, what makes sense for your needs? So that's a little bit about why Vouch was started, why we exist today. Remind me your second question.
Geez, what make you different as a business vis-a-vis your competition?
Yeah. Okay. So I think we talked a little bit about the product itself. We classify risk in a way that's very, very different. The other is our approach, right? So we have 10 proprietary lines of coverage. So these are all Vouch policies. We have produced and have underwritten these coverages. We're actually an MGA today, in the process of becoming a full carrier, and so that gives us thank you. We're not there quite yet, but we're excited to get there. And that gives us a lot more flexibility, right, to go direct to our consumers, to do more from a discounting and bundling perspective, and flexibility from a timing perspective as well, to be able to get coverage in place, bound, and live very, very quickly for our customers. So it's kind of on the experience itself. I think we also take a really proactive approach to risk management as well. It's not just about, you know, being prepared for those insurable risks and when things do happen, but how do you mitigate and how do you prevent those things from happening in the first place? And so we've established different partnerships with, we call them our risk management perks for our customers. So we have partnerships with organizations like Athena, which does free sexual harassment training for many of our customers, which is actually required in New York and California. We have a partnership with Neal & Johnson for, you know, free consulting hours around their employment practices. So those are really exciting perks for us to be able to offer to our customers as they're, you know, making sure that they have the, you know, the right tools and expertise in place.
Which takes me to a question around, so what are the current pain points you see in the founders? And I'm going to share with you a couple, which I've heard recently. One is with culture and mindset, but also the addressing the problem around diversity and inclusion. And you just mentioned, working with partners, I guess, to address some of those topics, because we often as founders do not have time to think about all those things, but we need to find the time to address those. And I'm very fortunate in London. I'm working with Ben Johnson from Sheffield Haworth, who are actually doing a lot of training to the ventures I'm working with, to actually explain, some of those things around D&I and why D&I is so important today as part of your talent pool and how you recruit people. So tell me, what are those pain points you are trying to alleviate for those founders?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, right, a founder has so many responsibilities to their business, to their people. There are things that founders are incredible at, and having that business insurance expertise typically isn't one of them, nor should it be, right? The way we think about our role is how can we make this process as painless, as easy, as cost effective, as quality, right, as it should be, to be able to save these founders time and energy, right? They should be focusing on the things that are really important to their business. And so how can we be that trusted partner to help them navigate, to help them understand, to help them buy in a way that hasn't really been available to them previously, just given, again, a lot of these manual and legacy processes. So that's honestly, like, at the end of the day, the biggest thing that we think about is how do we support these founders in that way through the Vouch product and services. But again, how do we support our founders that we work with outside of the Vouch products and services as well? Things like those risk management perks and partnerships that we talked about. We have different partnerships with different organizations in the ecosystem as well, across the board, different venture capital firms, accelerators, incubators, platform players, as well. And so we think about how do we help connect the dots within that ecosystem to, again, provide value to our customers, whether it's connecting them to our venture partners for deal flow, connecting them to accelerator partners that might be a good fit for their business, connecting them to other, partners, accounting, legal, that we have that might be able to support them. We really kind of see that as a huge responsibility of ours, especially the team that I sit on, our partnerships organization. How do we help really connect the dots within the ecosystem and provide value to our customers and our partners alike?
So it's interesting because when you start looking at your strengths, I guess one part would be, a theme we talk a lot in the industry, and I don't know whether we are doing it very well, which is education and spending time educating around the problem you highlighted, emerging risks, why you need to protect yourself. But then the other one, which is the ecosystem part, where you also give back to the founders and help them accelerate and be able to raise the next round, find the next partner for themselves as well. Any other strengths we need to actually consider when we look at your business model?
Yeah. I think the other strength that we really think about is the experience of our team, quite honestly. Internally, right, we recognize that to build a company like this, it can't be a pure insurance company and it can't be a pure technology company. It really needs to be a combination of the two, and the breadth and depth of our team needs to reflect that, right? So we have folks that have deep expertise in building companies and in the startup world, and we have folks that have deep expertise in the insurance world as well, that are really guiding how we build and develop these products, how we get them admitted in the States, right? As we kind of look to our roadmap and insurance collaborations and partnerships. And that's actually, personally, I think, been one of the most valuable experiences for me, right? As someone that kind of falls in that camp of coming from the startup world, is really kind of leveraging the experiences and learning from the folks on the other side of the table within Vouch that come from the insurance world, and vice versa. So I think that gives us a huge advantage in terms of how we go to market, how we build, products and services for our customers, how we are able to, think through the vision and the future and how we need to evolve. But I think that expertise also sets us apart in terms of how we engage with our customers directly, our insurance advisors, right? These are advisors who understand the inner workings of how startups operate. They understand what it means to be, again, an e-commerce business versus a SaaS business. And, what are the different milestones that those companies go through? What are the risks that they're opened up to? And so, quite honestly, having an advisor that understands that and can support you at different stages of your journey is a huge advantage that we hear from our customers quite often, is pretty unique.
Yeah, I would agree. Having run accelerators, I could see in my mind, the curve of growth of startups, from startups to scale ups to grown ups, and your stage of fundraising and all the things. So I can actually understand why you actually want to focus as well on that specialism around understanding subscription model. A lot of those new business models that are coming out, right? A lot of businesses do not have experience with them. And so being able to find a partner who actually understands, what needs to be done to be well protected is pretty unique, I think, too.
We think so too, but again, we're very biased in that opinion.
So one thing which came to mind is you mentioned your partners, you mentioned the value you are creating for your customers. You mentioned how you work with external partners to actually design your product and services. Is there anything that actually our audience and founders out there could learn from Vouch around being effective at doing that, this partnership angle and the proposition design angle, when you look at product and servicing design?
It's a great question. I think our strategy, right? Partnerships are such a key aspect of how we go to market. And I think I have a lot of respect actually for the way we designed the partnerships function and our goals and even our metrics, right? How we measure for success for ourselves, because at the end of the day, of course, we want to have customers that work with Vouch and we want to convert them and all of that good stuff. But we really think about it in terms of how do we provide value back to the ecosystem, through things like education, through helping founders connect with our partners for deal flow, for partner referrals, for, different perks and discounts that we have in place with other partners. Helping kind of bridge the gap and connect those dots has been so important for us, because it enables us to really add value to both our customers and partners outside of just the Vouch product, and ultimately that makes our product and our services more valuable to those partners. So it's been a really important strategy for us, and it's been really fun to kind of experiment with what resonates with different partners, right? With a lot of our accelerator partners. Often, right, those are companies that are very early stage that are going through those programs. And there's often a very, very little knowledge about like, what is business insurance? What is this important? We've done some user research that shows us that 65% of repeat founders actually purchase business insurance upon company formation, but close to 0% of first-time founders do that. And part of that, right, is there's this huge education gap. And so we'll host, business insurance 101 workshops. We'll host office hours, give people, vulnerable spaces to be able to, get their questions answered and get them feeling a little bit more comfortable talking about these topics and understanding, what their needs are today or maybe will be in the future. So we approach, education, in that sense, in terms of how can we help and how can you think about risk management. But we also do a lot of education and connecting the dots around topics outside of, risk management and outside of Vouch as well. We'll do founder roundtables. We do a fintech founder roundtable, I think once a month, to bring, folks that are customers of Vouch, outside of Vouch, bring together to have really open and honest, vulnerable conversations. We'll do different events that focus on, bringing different groups of our partners together. We did a workshop for women in venture capital a few weeks ago around the power of the ask and communication strategies in honor of Women's History Month. So we really try to experiment and get creative about how we can, bring value to both our customers and partners alike and bridge the gap between those two entities as well.
That's super interesting. Which takes me to my next questions is, as Vouch being a global insurtech ecosystem builder, how do you strike the balance between building a digital first business and then in making sure that you drive, humanity and relationship with an expertise within the team you are building to serve your customer?
Such a great and really important question. And I think ultimately what it comes down to is, you need to meet people where they are, right? And so that's, I think, one of the beauties of the customer experience that we've built is we have that optionality for our founders. I mentioned that 65% bucket of second-time founders, often experienced founders, they understand business insurance because they've been through it before. They know what they need. And so we've been able to create a really easy digital self-serve experience where they can come in, they can get the recommendations, they can check out. Again, coverage is live that night at midnight. But that's all well and good unless you're, a first-time founder that says, okay, it's great that I have gotten this customized quote that tells me these are the coverages that I need, but I don't even understand what directors and officers insurance means, or, do I really need general liability if I don't have an office space right now? So many of us are working remotely. And so that's where, having that optionality and those experienced insurance advisors really comes into play, because at the end of the day, a lot of people want to have that human, they want to know the face behind the name. And there's that inherent trust there when they're working with someone that understands their business. And so for us, yes, we're a digital first business, and we build our products to really serve the needs of our customers and meet them there. But we have that expertise kind of behind the digital experience, because ultimately it's about how our customers want to engage and what they're most comfortable with. It's definitely a balance.
That's cool, which takes me to my, before last question. So if us Europeans want to actually attend one of your, session for female founders, or other topics you're actually working on to enable, founders to be much more effective at their jobs, what do we do?
Yes, I love that question. Well, one of the things actually I'd love to share, we're super excited about the fact we just launched our blog. Actually, it's called On the Line. And we're really excited. We've got some amazing kind of guest authors. We just posted a new article around founder mental health and wellness that we've gotten a lot of great feedback on. So I'd encourage people to check that out. We're really proud of it and excited to have that live. But I would also say, please reach out and connect, because we are constantly either participating in different events, we're hosting different events, sometimes we're co-hosting with our partners, different and brainstorming different ways to bring founders, VCs, accelerators, kind of that partner ecosystem together. So I always encourage people, please reach out and make that connection and let us know what you're looking for, because we'd love to include you in those opportunities as they come up and are relevant to you.
That's super cool. Well, Ally, any last words? I mean, it's an honor for me to be talking with you.
It's an honor for me. No, thank you for having me. I think, I'm obviously really excited about Vouch and what we're building. Again, very biased over here, but it's really been exciting to kind of see the company grow and honestly just to be able to support, these founders and startups that are building the most incredible companies. Like, that's such an honor and a privilege for us, and it's incredibly rewarding work, and we really appreciate you highlighting what we're doing. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Well, thank you. Today we are talking with Ally Schneider from Vouch, and please make sure you reach out to Ally if you have any question. She's there to help, as well as the bigger Vouch team. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sabine.
If you like this podcast, subscribe now, share with your friends, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a 5-star review. Also, if you want to cover any specific subject with me, contact me on Instagram under Sabine VdL Officials or LinkedIn under Sabine VdL. Thank you.